Hello, guys, and welcome to Matt Stories. Our story of the day is: Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her boundary will destroy her relationship with my nephew? I, 30 years female, recently got married and had a baby. My sister, 24, does not like my husband and will not tell me why. When I first brought him home to introduce everyone, she was a bit standoffish, but in general, she doesn't really like people, has very few friends, never brings anyone home to meet the family, and has never wanted to spend time with anyone I brought home. Before my husband and I got married, I asked her if she had any issues with him. She said no and that he seemed nice. I asked her to be my maid of honor and thought all was well. Fast forward to last week, my husband goes to drop off something at the family home. Sister lives with my parents, and came back looking shaken. I asked him what happened, and he said he knocked and went into the kitchen, and my sister told him my parents weren't home. He said he tried to give her the stuff I had asked him to drop off, and she told him to put it in the garage. It was food, even though they were in the kitchen. He said as he was picking up the stuff back up to go, he tried making small talk, commenting about the weather, and she snapped at him, saying don't freaking talk to her, and stormed out of the room. My husband has never given me reason to worry about him being appropriate or anything, but that was where my mind first went. We lived near them, and he had been gone for less than 5 minutes. I called my sister to ask what happened, and she hung up on me, messaged her, and she ignored me, until this morning, when I bombarded her with phone messages because I wanted to resolve whatever was going on. She finally replied and basically said she hates him, has always hated him, and her only boundary is that he never talks to her. In the 7 years we have been together, they've spoken maybe 5 times, and that was mostly him greeting her. I asked her why, and she said she doesn't need a reason, she doesn't like him, and she doesn't want him around. I asked her point blank if he had done or said something to make her feel like that, and she said he didn't do anything and that she doesn't need a reason to feel how she does. Now, my family is very close. My other sibling, brother 29, and I sometimes drop by unannounced to help my mom cook dinner or just hang out. My parents encourage this as they say they like having us around. And I told her it's going to be weird if he can't just even greet her when we come over. She said she was sick of me having a stranger in her home. I told her I didn't realize she felt that way about him, and said I wouldn't ask him to drop stuff without me being around anymore. Mind you, she's had 7 years to get to know him, and I didn't realize she still considered him a stranger. She then said that was not the point, that she didn't want him talking to her at all, and that was the boundary she wanted respected. I told her I would tell him and try to keep them apart, but that would mean her time with my son, her nephew of 6 months, would be affected because my husband will not be comfortable with our son being around someone who hates him. Frankly, I'm now uncomfortable with it too because I don't know what ideas she'll try to put in his head. It's also going to affect my parents' time with him because if my husband can't bring him around, it's going to affect the amount of times he goes over there. I didn't tell her, but that hurts my heart because they absolutely adore my son. He's their first and only grandchild so far, and they love spending time with him, always telling us to bring him over. She said I was playing the victim, painting her as a bitch, and trying to trample the only boundary that she has set for herself. I'm currently thoroughly lost and trying to figure out the best way forward. Am I the a-hole here? And is there any way I can fix this situation? Edit. I never expected so many replies in such a short time, but I appreciate the responses. To clarify a few things and answer some questions. Number 1. I've mentioned it to my parents and they are aware of what's happened. My mom said she'll sit my sister down for a conversation, but from what I hear, my sister keeps making reasons to avoid it. Being busy, tired, wanting more time, etc. My dad says not to worry about it and it will blow over. My dad had a heart attack recently and is currently recovering, so I don't want to push it with them right now and stress him out, so I left it at that with him and changed the subject. Number 2. My partner is amazing and has never given me reason to worry about him being around any females. I admit I was worried he had done something when he told me how she responded, because I can't wrap my brain around why she would blow over just small talk, but she herself said he didn't do anything. Number 3. I know my brother has had partners, but he hasn't brought any home. I myself didn't bring anyone home until I was serious about them and thought there might be a future. Brought home a grand total of 2 guys, current partner, and my ex from college. And number 4. Regarding her mental health, she has always had a bad temper, has snapped at me many times with no apology, even when she realized later she was wrong. For example, accused me of taking her shoes, which she had actually just left in the vehicle. There has never been anything on this level before. And now for our second story of the day. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pretend to my mother I am still a virgin at 38 years old? I know how nuts this sounds, but my mother is extremely Catholic. I, 38 years female, had to move back in with family after I lost my apartment. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head, and I do love my family. My father, the saint parent, is having some health issues, and I'm staying here also to look after him and assist my family financially, as it's a big help when my mother doesn't work and hasn't in years. However, moving back in seems to have given my mother the idea that I've turned back into an underage teenager. I have a gay friend, Gary. I cannot admit to having gay friends due to my mother's extreme religious views. She believes associating with gay people can lead to demons attaching themselves to you, and would go on a screeching, crying warpath if she ever found out that I have several gay friends. Therefore, I've just never mentioned Gary's gay. Gary is fine with this. He actually thinks it's absolutely hilarious that she somehow thinks he's straight. Gary asked me to stay at his, and he's just had a bad breakup and needed a friend. I mentioned I was staying at his, said he'd just split up with someone and needed me, didn't mention he'd broke up with another man, and I wouldn't be home. Now my mother thinks something romantic is going between us. She asked me, well, where are you sleeping at his? Annoyed. And I said, wherever I pass out. To which she then replied, you said he's just had a breakup, but what if he wants something from you now that he's single? What if he has bad intentions and wants something else from you? Decades of repression, forced secrecy, and rage suddenly came to the surface. I laughed in her face, called her ridiculous, and said, well, if he does, I'll be very happy since I've not had sex a while. And frankly, I miss it. This is the first time I've ever admitted to being a sexual being to my mother, and I'm pushing 40. You would think I'd just slapped her. She started crying, wailing, thrashing the hallway, ripped down all the family photos off the walls, and kept screaming that I'd ripped her heart out and destroyed the family. That was last weekend, and she barely left her room since. She has been lying in bed all week, crying and refusing food because her nearly 40 years old daughter isn't a virgin anymore. I haven't been a virgin for nearly 20 years, and I deeply resent all the time I had to pretend to be one, just to stop her histrionics. She says she can't even look at me, and I apparently have no respect for myself. My dad admits she's going way overboard, but says I shouldn't have said what I did, as she's a sensitive person. This wasn't the hill to die on, and how much sex deeply offends her. She cannot even say the word sex without whispering, and here I was admitting to having it. I get that her religious beliefs are strong, but at the same time I feel she needs to get a stronger grip on reality and stop with the endless dramatics. I am not a child anymore. I am not bringing men to the house. I have never been asked to do that despite assisting her house financially. My body is simply not hers to control outside of the house. I probably shouldn't have said it so crudely, but who gets upset, let alone this upset that their nearly 40 years old daughter has the audacity to have a sex life. On we go to our last story of the day. Am I the a-hole for serving my ex-wife divorce papers while she was at work? For context, I, 35 female, was married to my wife, 33 years female, for 8 years until I called quits because she cheated on me with a coworker. Just to paint the picture, we met when we were really young and were in college class together. We were each other's best friends, and I thought I really lucked out. In our relationship, she was the person who was making more money. She worked in marketing and had her parents' support, and I worked in education. Everything was going well, or so I thought. 2 years ago, I got promoted to an administrative position at work and became more busy. Last January, I noticed that she became more and more distant. I'm guilty of this too, for not being able to see it sooner and being more focused at work. I tried to reach out to her by suggesting that we go on dates or to just talk to each other, but I was always shut down. I even said we should try counseling because I was noticing that we weren't talking to each other anymore unless it was about bills, groceries, or if our dogs were fed. There were times where she said that she would stay longer at the office because she was trying to finish something. The sometimes became more frequent, and there were times where she didn't even come home. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what was happening, but I couldn't say anything until I could prove it. Fast forward to June, and I was able to get the chance when I got a notification for a transaction on our joint credit card for a trip to Australia. Usually, I'm not the type of person to go looking into someone's phones or laptops, but this time I was just seething. I guess this was also a reason for her to be very brave about never deleting her conversations. I pulled up her laptop and opened her browser to her emails, where she had paid for her and her mistress. I was gut-wrenched, but I had to dig a little deeper. I opened her Instagram accounts, and lo and behold, the conversations were there. I gathered my things and moved out of the house that night. She didn't even try to ask for me back. It's like I never even existed. No calls about where I was or even if I was still alive. I think that hurt me the most. I was so heartbroken, I just wanted her to at least care. The trip to Australia is so ironic because she was willing to take her mistress away, but in the years we were married, we never took vacations together. That stung a little bit. That's when I knew that she didn't actually love me like I loved her. Fast forward to now, my lawyers said we needed to serve her the divorce papers and it needed to be in person. The thought of seeing her and interacting with her makes me physically sick. I told my lawyers that I don't know when she'll be home or if she still goes home to the same address. So I had recommended that they serve her the papers at work between 3 to 5 p.m. A couple of our friends heard of what I did and they were mad at me for embarrassing her at work. My best friend says that I did the right thing. An eye for an eye, she says. Just need to know if I made the right decision because at this point it feels like every decision I make is wrong. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Well guys, that's it for today. Hope you liked the stories. Leave a comment, like, and please subscribe. And see you on the next video.